Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss Darian. I hope everybody had a fantastic Easter. Today we're going to read an Eric Carle book, and this is Mr. Seahorse. Does anybody know anything about seahorses? I don't, so we're going to learn a few things about them. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Miss Seahorse begins to wiggle and twist this and that way. It's time for me to lay my egg, she says. Can I help? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Oh, yes, thank you, said Mrs. Seahorse. And she lays her eggs onto a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. I'll take good care of our eggs, said Mr. Seahorse. I promise. As Mr. Seahorse drifts gently through the sea, he passes through a group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. Look, do you see them? Then you can see them again. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you today, Mr. Sittleback? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Delighted, replied Mr. Sittleback. I just built a nest, and right away Mrs. Sittleback laid her eggs onto it. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch. Keep up the good work, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. These are some pretty fishes. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a lionfish hidden behind the coral reef. Do you guys see the lionfish? I do. He's right there. I'll show you a better picture of him. See? He's right there. He blended in with the coral reefs. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Tilapia? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know, said Mr. Seahorse. Miss Tilapia laid her eggs and now you're taking good care of them until they hatch. Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. You must be very happy, said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. Look, he has all of those eggs in his mouth. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a pair of leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. Do you see them? I do. They're right there. See? They blended in really well with the seaweed. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Curtis? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Perfectly fine, replied Mr. Curtis. Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch. You are doing a good job, said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind the rock. Do you see the stonefish? I see him. He's right here. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Pipe? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Couldn't be better, replied Mr. Pipe. Miss Pipe laid her legs along my belly. Now I'm taking good care of them until they hatch. You should feel really proud of yourself, said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam along his way. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you? Mr. Bullhead asked Mr. Seahorse. Tip-top, replied Mr. Bullhead. Miss Bullhead laid her eggs, and now the eggs hatched. Now I'm babysitting. You are doing a fine job, said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam along his way. Do you see all the babies that had hatched? Look at them. Can we count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 eggs hatched. That's a lot. The time had came for the Seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that. At last, the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. Oh, no, said Mr. Seahorse. I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own. Let's count how many seahorses we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, is that more or less than the other one? If we had 12 and the other one had 18, is that more or less? More or less? There's less seahorses than the other fish. Good job, friends. The end. Have a wonderful day, guys.